Good evening. I'm Maddie with the Collapse Survivor app, and this is the third part of what we've decided will be a four-part series on the threat of AI and how to survive it. I'll be interviewing Dr. Colonel Drew Miller, a former intelligence officer with a Harvard PhD in operations research, a former Pentagon think tank analyst and senior executive service member, and the founder and CEO of Fortitude Ranch and Collapse Preparedness Consulting. In the first two interviews, we covered the threat of today's limited artificial intelligence, or tool AI, which is not super intelligent and often is specialized for certain tasks like medical research, computer coding, or writing. However, this current AI is still dangerous and can and will be used to develop new weapons of mass destruction, like a bioengineered virus, new poison, or new ways to enrich uranium to make nuclear weapons. Dr. Miller also covered what the leading AI safety experts say is an even bigger threat, and that is super intelligent artificial general intelligence, which will be smarter than humans and impossible for humans to control. So if super intelligent AGI decides that humans are holding it back or are too harmful, AGI could decide to exterminate humanity.
That's correct. But even if super intelligent AGI does not have, any kind of hostile intent towards people, you can be 100% confident that bad people are going to use super intelligent AGI to create new, more powerful weapons of mass destruction.
Right. Yeah, that certainly is true. We've already seen AI abused to develop and launch cyber attacks. And it will definitely be used by malicious people for bioattacks and developing other new weapons of mass destruction. And in our last video, we discussed how governments are doing nothing to control, regulate, or ban super intelligent AGI. But in the case of the United States, it's full speed ahead on developing super intelligent AGI, even though AI safety experts insist that if anyone builds it, then everyone will die. Now, Colonel Miller will, he explained earlier how the Fortitude Ranch survival community plans to survive if super intelligent AGI takes over and starts killing people. And as we discussed this, the conversation got into a very different, somewhat bizarre discussion about how a different kind of AI threat would call for the same kind of survival strategy. And in this part 3 of our series on the threat of AI and how to survive it, we are going to seem to go way off track to talk about a very, very different threat than super intelligent artificial intelligence. But despite being a different threat, it's got the same initials and the same defense strategy to try and survive if this threat emerges. So with that admittedly bizarre introduction, I'll ask Colonel Miller to cover the second AI threat.
Thanks, Maddie. And I will disclose to people up front exactly what Maddie's talking about here. And it really is kind of bizarre, but if you hang on for a few minutes of explanation, you'll see why these two very different types of AI threats, same initials, do call for the same basic defense strategy. So the second AI threat we're talking about here is not artificial intelligence, but a different AI, alien invaders. And I know it seems a little bit funny, but it's the same initials, and it's the same basic survival strategy. If a vastly superior intelligence system, whether it's man-made AGI or an alien invasion of some other civilization, some other species that comes that's so much smarter than us, it's still the same situation from a survival point of view. We can't destroy them. We can't really fight back against them. So the question is, how do we survive? When our planet is occupied by either artificial general intelligence, some super intelligent man-made system that decides it wants to exterminate humans, or an alien invader that decides that they're going to take over our planet and possibly exterminate, or certainly would want to exploit us. And in both cases, the means of survival is the same. And it's, no more than monkeys today or dogs can defeat humans on our planet because of our intelligence advantage. It's the same way if a super intelligent power takes over. So the defensive strategy in general is, number one, don't pose any kind of a threat to that ruling system, that ruling superior intelligence. Stay away from them, don't be in their way. And then secondly, don't be consuming anything or having any resources of high value to them. And then the third thing is you do want to have some defensive measures. So if they send robots or drones or something to kill you, you can at least impose a cost on them by fighting back, but purely defensively. You never want to pose an offensive threat to a ruling AI, whether it's artificial intelligence or alien invader person. And by the way, that alien invasion force could be an artificial intelligence, something that's not biological, but created by another species on another planet. So at Fortitude Ranch, we still want to do farming and ranching to stay alive, but we will stay on our property and defend it, and we don't want to pose a threat to the ruling AI system, and try not to have anything that value the ruling AI power of either type of AI would want to take. And Fortitude Ranch is located in very remote areas, so we're not near any power plants or data centers or anything of big value. And we call this, as I explained in our first episode, the rural rat strategy. The ruling AI powers may see us as disgusting, stupid species, but we're rural. We're not in their way. We're not near anything they want. We're not using up resources they desire, and not worth sending their resources to exterminate.
So I know you rate the threat of artificial intelligence as extremely high and a current threat even today before superintelligence is created. But do you believe the threat of alien invasion is high as well?
No, we don't believe an alien invasion scenario is very likely at all. And we have a threat watch collapse survival warning system. We're currently estimating the annual likelihood of a collapse, because there's 50 plus categories that we track. We estimate it's anywhere from like 16 to 57% annually. It's very high. It's not a low risk. But we don't rate alien invasion as something that's high. And for these reasons, for a couple of things. First of all, the speed of light is kind of a good protection we've got. So the distance to travel from some other planet to get here, it's long, long periods of time. Now, I'm undecided on whether or not our planet has been visited or is being monitored or currently visited by alien beings. But if we are, the fact that they haven't exterminated or wiped us out yet, that's certainly a positive sign. So that's another factor. But Maddie, I'm sure you've noticed that the government messaging on what used to be called UFOs, unidentified flying objects, now we call them UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena, the messaging on that has been going up. You hear more and more talk about it. It used to be if you mentioned UFOs, they tried to dismiss you as a lunatic. But nowadays, there's even government facilitated studies suggesting that, yeah, there really is a chance of that. I think the poll data shows that the majority of Americans do believe there are alien civilizations and that they're on our planet already. So the evidence is inconclusive at this point, but there certainly is a very high likelihood that there is other intelligent life out there in this vast universe. So for security purposes, you can't assume that there is no smarter species, civilization on some other planet. And you have to understand that 14 billion years age of our universe, the likelihood that there is another intelligent being out there is very high, and the chances that it's been developing longer than us and therefore smarter than us is probably very, very high.
I mean, yeah, as they say, if the universe is infinite and constantly expanding, how could we be the only life that exists in it? So I'm with you there on that. The government isn't doing anything to address the threat of artificial intelligence, but what do you think about government plans to deal with the alien invader threat?
Well, it's basically the same in dealing with the artificial intelligence threat. In prior programs, I stressed that our government is absolutely irresponsible, criminally negligent, perverted in eliminating any regulations on AI and using public funds and resources to promote an AI arms race with China that we cannot win. Everyone loses when a super intelligent AGI system gets created, and we risk the extermination of our species. So while our government is also irresponsible in dealing with the threat of some other civilization in the galaxy exploiting us, because we're sending out probes with maps of where we are, in our solar system, trying to send signals out to signal where we are to the outside world. And assuming that an outside more intelligent life out there is going to be friendly is just an asinine, stupid assumption. You have to assume that if they're so much smarter than us, they're going to treat us like, we treat ants or rats or anything. So you can't assume that a superior intelligence from some other part of the universe is going to be friendly. And astronomers estimate there's anywhere from 100 to 300 sextillion planets in the universe. Now, few of us know how many zeros are in a sextillion, but it's millions of millions. It's a one followed not by 6 zeros, but 21 zeros. So with all those planets out there, the odds that only Earth has intelligent life are extremely small. And again, given the estimated 14 billion year age of our universe, the likelihood of a far more advanced civilization, much, much smarter than us out there, is probably extremely high. So it's absolutely stupid, irresponsible policy by government to be sending probes into other galaxies with maps on where this probe came from. The perverted triangle's decision making is dominated by buying re-election votes, and they're constantly approving spending on things that has a lobby group behind it or adds to government jobs and spending and power. So when astronomers and scientists who are fascinated by the possibility of extraterrestrial life, and government bureaucrats and NASA, similarly fascinated and eager for bigger budgets, when they lobby their career politicians for this broadcast our presence to the universe program, the perverted triangle approves it, even though it is not just more of a tax burden for citizens, but it's a huge unnecessary risk that could lead to our enslavement, our slaughter by a more intelligent species.
So a couple of times you mentioned now the perverted triangle. What is that?
Yeah, so the perverted triangle is a political science term I invented. There's an official political science term called the iron triangle, and that's business lobbyists, government bureaucrats who regulate that industry, and then the politicians, the career politicians who deal with it. That's the iron triangle, and it's a bad connotation. There's actually something far worse in our government, and that's what I call the perverted triangle. It's career politicians. Again, they are the worst in our country. It is government bureaucrats as well, but the third part is lawyers. That's what I call the perverted triangle. And oftentimes, the lawyer and the politician are the same person. The biggest profession, unfortunately, in government, both at the state levels generally and at the federal level, is lawyers. Lawyers who run for office, they pass more laws, they ignore the Constitution. They're constantly promoting big government. The Democratic Party is the worst party in this regard. Their grand strategy has long been, let's get government bigger and bigger and bigger, because that's our constituency. The government unions, government employees vote Democrat, and they try to get more socialism, more programs passed to get people more dependent on government, so more re-election votes for them. And that's the perverted triangle. It's career politicians, government bureaucrats, and then lawyers. And all the laws that the perverted triangle keeps passing gives more and more business, more and more power, more and more profit to attorneys.
Okay. So then to circle back, even if there are 100 other more advanced civilizations out there, some of them conquering lesser species like super intelligent artificial general intelligence might, aren't they limited by the speed of light? It just takes too long to get here, and traveling faster than light is logically impossible?
Yeah, I definitely agree with this. Now you're getting outside my area of expertise, but faster than the speed of light might be possible, with knowledge beyond our scientific knowledge. There might be particles other than protons, for example, that can travel faster. There might be weapons or other means of propulsion. But on the other hand, also the aliens might not be biological creatures. So if it does take a long time, that's no big deal to them. But it's like the same threat we're facing now. That it could be super artificial intelligence threat that's coming at us, just not man-based, but machine-based life forms or artificial intelligence that's from another civilization on another planet, and they don't care about spending hundreds of years of travel times. But we just don't know. For example, a lot of people think that Roswell in 1947 was an alien visit motivated by our first detonation of an atomic device, also in New Mexico in 1945, that they detected. And if that is the case, then that would suggest that they have a just a 2-year travel time to get here. But my point is, while I can't know with any certainty the threat of alien invasion, I can with very high confidence conclude that only an idiot would try to broadcast or send probes beyond our galaxy with maps on where this third planet from our sun is located. It's potentially suicidal. It's definitely a stupid thing to do. And unfortunately, this is the kind of decision making by the perverted triangle, our horrible, unconstitutional government whose top priority is not protecting citizens from threats they can't handle on its own, its proper role, but top priority is buying votes for re-election. So they'll approve anything if there's a lobby group behind it, giving them donations and support. So, of all the preparedness improvements I recommend in my book, Preparing to Survive in the Age of Collapse, by far the most important one is term limits. We must stop career politicians from sacrificing our security and our lives for re-election votes with horrible
Agreed.
decisions, grotesque pandering for votes, and using their office for their enrichment, not the number one priority of protecting us from threats we can't handle on our own.
Yeah, I agree with that. Um, okay, well, let's wrap this up then with the summary that whether the AI threat is man-made, super intelligent, artificial intelligence, or alien invaders, the defensive strategy for survival is the same. Be like royal rats, not a bother or a threat, not worth the cost of exterminating.
Yep, and if an advanced alien civilization comes to Earth and decides to treat our relatively ignorant species as ants, or decide that we're an inherently immoral, evil species, they may start wiping us out. So the best survival strategy, if that happens, is probably the rural rat strategy that we use at Fortitude Ranch.
Okay. All right. Well, next week we will record one more episode in this 4-part series on how to survive the AI threat. Please subscribe to Collapse Survivor for a notification when the final episode airs. Thank you and stay safe.
If you want to learn more about threats and how to prepare for the coming struggle, hit the follow button on the bottom left of this video to subscribe to the Collapse Survivor channel.